Welcome back to Barn Built Beaters. We got this area completely stripped out in the last video, but today we have a new task. That's mounting and installing the exterior lights. So we'll start with this guy. Tomorrow the other lights come and we'll work on those. I'm already one step ahead of you guys. I've already installed this junction box. This is going to hold our smart switch, which will turn the lights on when it gets dark and turn them off sometime around midnight. Now we'll run the wire from the breaker box all the way to this switch, and then from the switch up to where we're going to mount this first guy. Now that we have most of everything out of the way, we can measure the distance from the breaker box over to the junction box. So let's do that. Well, I'm going to cut 175, which gives us a little bit of extra, just in case the curves through this corner take up some slack, and then it also gives us some slack in the breaker box itself to wire it up. Oh, no. Well, we're outside today. My GoPro died yesterday and I didn't notice, so some of this project is already done. As you can see, we have a motion sensor light out there that's already wired in and mounted. That's what I did yesterday, but for the soffit lighting, the process is nearly identical. What I want to do for the soffit lighting is I want 4 lights spread equally on this face of the barn. So 2 over the garage door, and then 2 over in this space over here, just so it looks equal and is pleasing to the eye. This line in this engineered wood is basically the middle of the barn. It's off ever so slightly, which is why the light up there actually looks a little bit off, but it is pretty much dead center. So how I'm going to measure this, since it's outside, I don't think it'll be super noticeable, is I'm going to count the spaces in between the grooves. So, for example, I want these lights to sit in just a little bit inside the frame of the garage door, so we're going to count these spaces out. So I already kind of figured this out in my head. We have basically 1 complete board, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to follow this line straight up and then drill a hole and cut it out with a Dremel. So this side, it's not as nice as that. Over here, we have basically half a board. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and our half will go straight up in the middle here. That'll get us close enough where I think it'll look a-okay. As you already saw, I already measured out where I want the lights up there. So I went up there, up the ladder with my Sharpie, made a mark dead center in the soffit, got my drill, drilled the pilot hole. And since we don't have a 4-inch hole saw and I don't want to buy one, I made this template. It's just out of cardboard, it's a 4-inch circle and with a screw in the middle. So the screw will fit into the pilot hole and keep this relatively centered. I will trace around it with a Sharpie and then I'll go back up there with my Dremel and cut it out. got one light in the soffit. I cut that hole out as you guys saw, and then I snuck up into the rafters and just quickly mounted the junction box just to hold it there. I'll actually place it where I want now that I know I have some slack. So that's what it's gonna look like. I wish it blended in a little bit better, but at least it's white. It doesn't look that bad. So what we're gonna work on now is snaking the wire up to the junction box up there and connect it and then hammer it all the way down the studs. Now we have this wire all the way ran, stapled to the wall, and the wire is just hanging here until I'm ready to connect it up to this circuit. So what I'll be doing is running this other light for today. The battery or the storage in here is about to die, so I'm going to do that off camera. But the next set, I'll show you guys how to do that, okay? See you tomorrow. I finished up last night, but we ran into an issue. And here's that issue. Only one of them is working. So this first light over here is the first in the series. And then there's a wire that runs down and powers that one. So I know power is getting up to that light, but for some reason it's not lighting up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that light out, replace it with a new one, see if that works. And if that doesn't work, then there's something wrong with the junction box. So then I will replace that one. Well, we finally figured out what was wrong with it, and that was the junction box. Must be something internal, because as soon as I fixed it or replaced it, it worked just like it should. So now there's two lights. So we have 1 and 2 more to go. And then if we walk around to the other side, I'm not sure the spacing, but I'm sure this door is going to dictate that. And we'll put 3 or 4 on this length as well. But for now, I'm going to make the 2 holes for the lights up in the soffit, and then we can start running the wire. We have a junction box mounted right up there, and then one mounted right there. So all I did is just push the insulation away so I can kind of see where I'm supposed to be. I did that from the outside. And then I went up there and I screwed the junction boxes in there. Now I'm gonna measure the distance between and cut some wire and run that wire. Finished up the front of the barn, but we did run into an issue. 3 out of the 4 lights lit up just like they should, and the very last light for some reason wasn't lighting up. So I tried a different LED bulb, I tried a different junction box, and I came to the conclusion that it was the wiring in between the 2 lights that was causing the issue. What I actually think was the issue was the push to connect wire nuts, I guess you would call them. I don't know if I'm not stripping out enough and it's gripping onto the insulation making contact, or if they're just slightly faulty. I thought they were pretty idiot proof, but I guess I proved that wrong. Now we're over here. I have 3 lights already installed, but they're not wired up. So this was the same process. Mark the middle of the soffit, drill a hole, use that cardboard cutout that you saw and trace around it. Then follow that line with the Dremel and shove the light up in there. So now we can head back inside and wire those up, and we'll see what it looks like. I got a little distracted with what I was saying before, but back to these push to connect wire connectors. This was the issue that was causing my continuity issue. I was really trying to make it work. I was pushing it in there really hard, trying to get a different, some type of connection. And of course I was doing this with a live wire. And as I'm pushing in there, I must have scraped it up against the metal junction box and shorted out the wire. So luckily my lights still work, but the smart switch here, well, that is no more. So I ordered a new one. It's just a normal switch, normal smart switch. It's not dimmable. I like how the brightness on the outside looks. So this one's a little cheaper and works the exact same minus dimming. Now I'm on to running the wire, but I noticed they have these stupid push to connect wire connectors up there. So I got my wire cutters, I'm cutting them off, I'm putting on normal wire nuts. Haven't had an issue with these, so let's keep using these. Oh my gosh. Oh. There's a wasp's nest up there. I was looking directly in the eyes of a wasp. Don't think I'll be doing that today. Don't even have bug spray or wasp spray. Well, I did a little research online. I don't have wasp killer, but I do have brake clean and it works just as good, if not better. So, fun fact for you, back to work. There's the barn all lit up with the accent lighting. I think it turned out really good. I'm really happy. I was contemplating on putting a couple more lights on this side, but I really like how it looks, and I think having another light in the corner would just be too much, or it wouldn't be evenly spaced and it would just look a little awkward. So this side didn't quite turn out how I wanted, but overall very happy with it, and I'm not going to touch it. That wraps up this video. So all the tools, materials, and whatever else I use in this video will be in the description below. As always, if you guys liked it, feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and constructive criticism always helps this channel grow. So I appreciate all the comments you guys have been giving me. I'll see you in the next video.